So I thought I would just share how I've set up my new Filofax. As someone whose special interest is stationery, sometimes I feel like I want to use stuff and figure out a use for things that doesn't necessarily involve planner hopping. Do you know what I mean? Like figuring out ways of using stationery items that interest me, that I want to use in my system and play with, without the disruption of, like, why does it always have to be a planner kind of thing. And I really like Filofax. You can see I've even got a pocket one here. I've got a few different Filofaxes. I really like the ring bound system. It's the same with like Traveller's Notebook and things like that, but I don't necessarily want them to be on a planner. So I feel like I'm always trying to figure out other ways I can use these things and kind of play with my stationery without moving my whole planning system or journaling system into different books. This isn't final, it's just something I've been playing around with, but I just thought I would share. Maybe it'll give you some ideas. Maybe you can give me ideas for things you think I can put in here. I'm definitely always open to that. So this is the Malden in black. I really like the Malden models because they're really nice leather, and I like the contrast stitching. I'm not usually interested in the black models, but I just think this is a really nice black. It's kind of like very dark and inky, and I just really like it. So this is how I set it up on the inside. To be honest, this is how I set up most of my Maldens. In here, I just have some book darts. I never really quite know what to do with these zipped up parts. And then I've got my bank cards that were my transport cards that I used in Japan just for nostalgia. Some sticky strips and my business card. So I printed this out just for like an opening page. My favourite band. This I got is just from Redbubble, I think. And I don't have these all filled out yet. Like I said, it's a work in progress. I'm just having fun with it. It's not like fully set up or anything. But I've mainly set it up as like a, like this doesn't have anything either, but I've mostly been setting it up as a reference book. So I thought with my favourite video games and stuff, I really like The Sims. I obviously don't, like, I mean, who does play The Sims every single day? I think it's fairly standard, you know, I won't touch it for like 4 months and then I'll play it for 48 hours straight. So although I generally know all the cheat codes, sometimes because I haven't played it for a couple of months I might forget. So I just thought having all of the cheats that I am most likely to use, these aren't all the cheats, but they're the ones that I might use, just to have them all written down instead of having to like search it up on my phone while I'm on my laptop, I just thought this would be a big help. I have a Tamagotchi, so I just did the evolution chart. Again, it's just so that I don't have to constantly look these things up. I can just look in this book and all the information is here. I have the Monster Carnival version, so I have which food to feed them for that one, and the specials. And I haven't been playing with my Tamagotchi the past couple of weeks, but I do use this a lot when I am. Oh, this is the item and food charts as well, and the Tama pets. I made these all myself on Photoshop. And then Animal Crossing. I'm a big Animal Crossing fan. I've been playing it for years and years, and I still play New Horizons. So I just made this. So I have this all in like the Notes app on my phone, but again, I just thought it'd be nice to have it all in one space. So I've got all of the flower breeding. I've got the art checklist, so I can cross it off when I've donated it to Blathers, and I've marked the ones that there's no forgery. So if I see Red is selling one of these, I know that it's going to be legit. I don't have to check it up any further. And then I can see sort of how far I have to go, how many are left. That's the statues. And then going into further collections, I've got all the bugs. So I've crossed off the ones that I've donated to the museum, and I've put the time that they are available to catch and the months as well. So I can also kind of reference this if I'm looking for, say, a giant water bug. Then I know that I need to do that between April and September, 7 p.m. to 8 a.m. And I also find this a lot more useful because if I look up guides online, it's different between obviously like the southern hemisphere, the northern hemisphere. It's a lot of information to check through on a website. So I find just having all of this here, it's relevant to me in my hemisphere, in my time zone. It just feels a lot easier to reference than constantly looking at a website. Again, for the fish, and I tried to decorate it as well, like obviously for the fish. So I put a fishing line and CJ, the bugs. Unfortunately, it didn't get hole punched. I didn't plan that one very well. But Flick is there. There's Blathers for the statues, Red for the paintings, Leaf for the flower breeding. I tried to put some thought into how I designed it, and I'm really pleased with how these pages came out. It was a few days work, but I feel like it was really worth it. And then I've got Pascal for the undersea creatures as well, and one of his little words of wisdom, because I really like some of the phrases he says. Oh, and then I've got stuff for the roost, so visiting character times for Mabel, Sable, Wilbur, Rossetti and Don, and then the travelling NPCs, the times that they will be at the roost on the days that they visit. So it's like CJ, Flick, Kicks, that kind of thing. And then I created for my Copic markers and just various art supplies, because I'm an illustrator, so I do a lot of traditional work as well as digital, and Copic markers are one of my favourite methods of drawing. I collected a lot when I lived in Japan because they were so much cheaper, and I mean you can see some of them are kind of drying out. So if I'm out and I see Copic markers for sale, I can look at this and I know which ones I have, which ones are drying out and I need ink for, which ones I feel like I'm missing from my collection, because like if I look at this I might think, oh, I don't have anything in this shade range, so I can feel that kind of gap in my collection, that kind of thing. So these are all my sketch markers. I have a lot of the chow markers as well. The chows were what I collected before the sketch, and the sketch is what I got in when I was in Japan. I don't think I would buy the sketch markers in the UK because it just doesn't make financial sense. Yeah, and then this page, it's only got 2 on, but obviously I might buy more Copic markers, then I could just add them to the bottom of the list. And then the same for my coloured pencils. I will just say that if you wanted to do something like this, I did it in a way so this is actually, because obviously, I mean you can see here, Copic markers bleed through the paper. So I did it in a way that it's 2 pieces of paper glued together back to back, so that I wouldn't have to deal with that and I could still have information on both sides of the paper. So this is like a lot thicker than this one. So, and these are my Polychromos pencils, again for the same reason. If I'm out and I want to buy a pencil, I know which ones I already have. And that's kind of all the reference, so it's just video games and art materials at the front. Here I just have some various paper. This is just some plain paper, so that if I have this out with me and I feel like drawing, then I've got some plain paper to draw on, so I can use this kind of like as a sketchbook as well if I want to, and then I can just take the page out and put it in my actual sketchbook, because I do like to have an actual sketchbook. I mean, I can show you it here. This is a Leuchtturm 1917, however you say it. These are what I use for my sketchbooks. I started this one in July, and I mean, you can see that I kind of had a bit of a phase over the summer, but I like to have everything kind of cohesive in my sketchbook because it feels like the journey of my art, if that makes sense. So I like to actually fill in a sketchbook and have the sketchbook. So if I fill something out in here, I will put it in here just so that I then have that record. I do the same with like digital art as well. I will print it out and put it in my sketchbook, even though it wasn't originally created in my sketchbook. I just like to always have that chronological record. That might just make no sense to anyone but me, but I don't know. It's important to me to have a physical record of my work, so that's why I like Filofax, because obviously it was in like a traveller's notebook. I couldn't remove the pages easily, so I like to have plain pages in my Filofax if I want to draw. I don't like writing on plain paper, personally. This just came with the Filofax. I wasn't sure what to do with it. It's undated. I don't know if I'll use it or not. And then I got the to-do list. I think I kept quite a few of the paper types. So I've got to-do. I've got the blue. I quite like the blue lined paper. I don't generally like lined paper though. I just tend to use it for like scratch notes. I quite like dots. I got the projects and goals insert. I haven't obviously used it yet. It's probably more of a New Year thing. But I thought maybe if I put my goals into here, it might be more easier to reference and kind of plan than if it's in, say, my journal or planner. And then lastly, this kind of might not make sense, and I'm not going to flick through this section too much because it's personal, but for many years I've had kind of like an online journal and I suppose a blog really, and some of the entries are just kind of like really important to me and something that goes back over a really important time of my life. So I printed out all of the entries. This period of time is mostly late 2018 to early 2020, just before COVID, and it's just a very important time in my life, and it's kind of like my peak, if you like, and I just wanted these entries because they document it, and I just wanted to have them in a place that I could flick through them physically, because I wasn't journaling on paper then, I was blogging on a website, so I just wanted that physical record. And it also means that if anything happened to that website, like if the servers went down or I lost it, like I haven't now lost these entries. I have my own physical record of them. So I suppose in a way this kind of has ended up in a journal, but it's kind of like a retrospective journal. Most of these photos I had printed on the app Free Prints. They give you like, I think it's 40 free prints a month, and I use it quite a lot because then you just pay postage, which is like £3 or something. And I use a collaging app so that I end up with like 4 photos on a print, and then I just cut them out. So if you don't have a printer and you don't want to get like a pocket printer, using something like that and kind of saving your photos up and getting them printed once a month can be an option for you, if you hadn't thought of it before. And that's it. That just goes up to the end of the journal. I don't have anything in these later sections, but I just thought that might be interesting. Like I said, I'm always trying to think of things to do in my Filofaxes and my traveller's journals that isn't necessarily planning and moving my whole journaling system from book to book. It kind of allows me to play with my stationery and enjoy these things without the upheaval and disruption of changing a whole system. And I just thought maybe that will be interesting for some of you.